All right, welcome back to another edition of the Horsemen Pro Football Talk podcast. This is the Week 16 preview, and I'm Brad.
Hey, this is Zach.
And I'm Hefe.
Please hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so you never miss an episode. Show us some love. Share all your friends. We really appreciate the support so we can get the word out. Let's jump right into it, shall we? Let's talk about the elephant in the room. How about them Steelers?
How about them Steelers?
I think that you guys were right with the easy schedule. I also think it's still hard to win in this league. You don't go 10-0. I don't care what your schedule looks like. You don't go 10-0, win 10 games in a row if something's not going right. But whatever it was is run its course. They are in a lot of trouble. I would presume that they peaked too early, and the wheels are coming off the bus. Man, they're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I don't think they're as good as everybody thought they were. I think that's definitely showing now, which we'll get into here in a little bit when we talk about their upcoming game this week.
Yeah, the comment I want to make is that even though they had an easy schedule, they were still 10-0, and they lost to the Bengals and couldn't move the ball. Something has drastically changed from 10-0 to now. I mean, something is really, really wrong.
They abandoned the run. We talked about it a few weeks ago.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Well, there's a reason why, and I, it's clear that the Patriots at this point, or Patriots, that was a Freudian slip. It's clear to me that I don't think the Steelers at this point, after what happened last night, I don't think they're a threat in the playoffs at all. I think whoever gets their wild card game with them is probably going to advance. It's just the way it looks right now. So, all right, let's go to the first game. We have a Friday night game. Is this anybody done any homework on this? Is this the first Friday night game?
I don't think so. I like the idea though, putting a game on Christmas Day.
Oh, it is Christmas Day, isn't it?
This is actually the 10th time since 1970 there has been a game on Friday. I was not aware of that. I don't ever remember there being a game on Friday. And as Hefe pointed out, this is on Christmas, so you get a little Christmas treat after you watch everybody tear open the gifts you spent thousands of dollars on, and then leave your house. Not that wasn't, I wasn't talking about myself or anything. Anyway, 4:30 Friday on Christmas, Vikings and the Saints. Saints are going to get an early Christmas present and move to 11-4.
Yeah, Minnesota's in a must-win situation. One loss and they're eliminated from playoff contention. Unfortunately, they're facing Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints. After a shaky start in Brees' first game back last week against Kansas City, he finally got rolling. That spells bad news for the Vikings, favored by 7. I think the Saints will cover here.
Yeah, I think they probably should too. I don't really think this one's going to be close. That Saints defense is just playing so well right now. And given they just gave up 33 points, but that was the Chiefs. I just really like the defense. I think they'll play well here. And Drew Brees isn't going to have to be spectacular. He's not going to be overly spectacular with Michael Thomas not there, right? So maybe not a whole lot from the offense, but it should be a really good game for the defense here. Saints with the easy win.
We all three agree the Saints are moving to 11-4. So next up is a Saturday game. I like this whole thing here: Friday, Saturday, Sunday NFL. The Bucs at the Lions. By all rights, this is a Bucs game. But it worries me. It really worries me. The Lions are, trying to find their identity. The whole thing, moving things around. Things are a little different. And the Bucs are really struggling there on the road. But in the end, it is the Lions, and I have to go with the Bucs.
Yeah, Tampa Bay has struggled ever since adding Antonio Brown to the lineup. Fortunately, they're taking on the 5-9 Lions, win, and the Bucs clinch a playoff berth. Favored by 8.5 in this one. I think the Bucs will get it done and give them a couple weeks to work out any remaining issues before the playoffs begin.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I feel too. This is definitely going to be one of those, work out the kink kind of games. They got it going in the second half against the Falcons, and they got to use that momentum and the things they were doing right in that second half and ride that into this game against a sorry Lions team and propel themselves into the playoffs. So I think they get it done this week.
All right. We're all three taking the Bucs, and you should too. Next up is the 49ers at the Cardinals. Guys, this is a straight up coin toss. I have no idea. I'm going to take the Cardinals because they have the better record and they're at home. We've talked a lot about what the 49ers are capable of, but they're just up and down. They're so inconsistent every week. The Cardinals are a little less inconsistent. I'm taking Arizona, but the 49ers can certainly win this game.
Yeah, I don't feel as confident. This is a huge game for Arizona. They control their own destiny, currently being in the number 7 NFC playoff spot with a 1-game lead over the Chicago Bears. San Francisco is 1-7 with Nick Mullins under center. It's possible there's an upset here, but with the Cardinals favored by 4, I'm taking them, which will eliminate Minnesota from contention, even if they do pull off a miraculous upset win over New Orleans.
Yeah, I'd like to see the Niners pull off the upset here. But like Zach said, with Nick Mullins, they don't win. They've been turning the ball over a lot recently. They changed it up to C.J. Beathard again in the last game. That's never went a whole lot better than the Nick Mullins stuff. So unfortunately, there's really no way I can take the Niners here. That Arizona defense has played well the last couple of weeks. They've played a couple NFC East teams, but either way, they're playing well right now. So I got to go with the Cardinals.
All right, we are all three taking the Cardinals. All right, so next up is Saturday game, 8:15 p.m. The Miami Dolphins at the Las Vegas Raiders. This were a couple weeks ago, we'd be having a different conversation. But if Bill Belichick can't stop Tua, and the Dolphins can beat a mind like Bill Belichick, I'm not going to give Chucky that much grace. And besides, Carr's out, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's Mariota in there, but I don't know. You have to ask Jeff on that.
Yeah, I'm taking Miami.
Yeah, this is a huge game for both teams here. Las Vegas has to win out and hope Miami and Baltimore lose their remaining games to get into the playoffs. Miami controls their own destiny, 2 wins and they're in. If they lose one of their 2 remaining games and Baltimore beats Cincinnati in Week 17, Baltimore will take over the number 7 AFC wildcard spot. Miami is favored by 2.5 points on the road, but Tua is 6-1 against the spread this season, including covering the past 4 games. Meanwhile, Las Vegas has lost against the spread the last 4 games. So I'm riding with Miami here.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to take the Raiders, whether Derek Carr's in this game or Mariota. I don't think it really matters for him. That the Dolphins defense has been carrying him most of the season. I think they're going to carry him again in this game. Whoever's at quarterback is going to make a couple mistakes. Probably Xavier Howard gets an interception every game at this point. I think it's 5 or 6 games in a row now he has an interception. So there'll be turnovers, and the Dolphins defense will pull it out for him.
Okay, we are all three taking the Dolphins, and I want to jump in here. We say a lot on this show the phrase "in control of their own destiny," and I want to point out that this is a perfect example. If you're a team like the Raiders and you have to depend on another team to win, another team to lose, or whatever the case may be, you have no business being in the playoffs. You're taking up space. Everybody wants to get in. There's always a chance you can go on a run. But if you're dependent on, and that's what we say about controlling your own destiny. If someone else is in control of your own destiny, you have no business being there. The Raiders are that team right now. 2 weeks ago, I would have given you a completely different argument. I thought they were on the rise. They were hot. They couldn't sustain. They're on their way out. And this is Miami's just the opposite. I mean, they are in control of their own destiny. So I just wanted to clarify that we're pretty big on that here. We talk about that. The 3 of us talk about that a lot, that it's a really huge key indicator when you're evaluating teams of being in control of their own destiny. Doesn't always work out, but I think it's important. All right, next up, Sunday, 1 o'clock, the Falcons head into Kansas City. This is a no-brainer. We have some delusional Falcons fans. I know the Jets won last week, but the Falcons aren't winning in Kansas City.
No, Atlanta started off hot against the Bucs last week and did what they do best, lose a big lead and the game. Kansas City wins this, and they lock up the number 1 overall seed in the AFC playoffs. I don't see the 4-10 Falcons stopping the red-hot Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium. Favored by 10.5. I have KC covering this one.
Yeah, I think they'll probably hit the cover too. There's no way they don't, right? The Falcons, like Zach said, even if they get a lead, giving up a lead and losing the game is what they do. So at the end of the day, there's no shot I would ever take the Falcons in this game.
The Falcons should change their name to the Implosions or something.
It fit them
I'd,
very well.
I'd like to see how many leads they have lost since the Super Bowl collapse. That would be classic. It happened 3 times this year, right?
Yeah, something like
3 or
that.
4, yeah.
Yeah. Crazy. So we are all 3 taking the Chiefs. And again, you should too. All right. Next up, the Bears at the Jags. This is also, it's funny that the Bears are struggling like they're struggling. They're only 7-7. And it's still 97% of the people pick the Bears. I'm taking the Bears for sure. I'm so pissed that now I have to say the Jags are the worst team in the league since the Jets won last week.
Well, yeah, Chicago's playoffs hopes are still alive. They're currently outside looking in at 7-7. They're 1 game behind Arizona for the final spot there. They're favored by 7.5 against the now worst team in the league, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think the Bears will get this one done, although I do have a gut feeling Jacksonville can make a game out of this one. Recent results indicate you should take Chicago on the spread here.
Yeah, I would think so too, especially the way Chicago's offense has been playing. I would feel pretty confident taking the line there for the Bears if I was a betting man. And yeah, like you guys said, there's a 0% chance the Jags win this game.
All right, we are all 3 in agreement there. We are all 3 taking the Bears. Next up, the Bengals at the Texans. I wish I could give the Bengals more props for beating Pittsburgh, but Houston's almost beat Indianapolis twice. And I think that I'm not a big Romeo Crennel fan as a head coach, though he has breathed some life into this Texans team that was just a complete disaster. Now they're only a partial disaster. The Colts game, a little bit of luck goes on their side, and they may be 6-8 rather than 4-10. The Bengals are just, I don't know what. I didn't even know what happened. I didn't watch the game last night. I probably should have. I don't have any idea. There's no way the Bengals are going on the road and beating the Texans. I shouldn't say no way. It's a possibility. I don't see it. I'm taking the Texans.
Yeah, Monday, Cincinnati shocked the world with an upset victory over Pittsburgh. Houston lost another close game to Indianapolis, like you said, due to another last-second stellar defensive play by Indy, I might add. Ultimately, I think the Texans will pull this one out, but with a spread of 9 in favor of Houston, I'm going to say with the newfound motivation by the Bengals, they'll keep it close.
Yeah, that's an interesting line. I wouldn't touch that one because I don't know what's going to happen here. I know the Texans. I guess I don't know, but I'm pretty certain the Texans are going to win this game. Deshaun Watson just is so damn good. I mean, top 5 quarterback in the league, obviously. I mean, making his case to be a top 3. There's some good ones right now, but Deshaun Watson's up there with Mahomes and Josh Allen's of the world. He's balling out right now, even with the terrible team around him, offensive line that can't protect him. One way or another, he'll find a way to win.
All right, we are all 3 taking the Houston Texans. All right, next up is and this next game is an interesting game to me. It is the Cleveland Browns at the New York Jets, for the reason that the Browns are in control of their own destiny. The Browns really have a shot to make a statement. They have a shot to win their division. They have a shot to really establish themselves as a contender for the Super Bowl. I mean, they really have the ability to put Cleveland on the map this week. And this Jets team coming with a new defensive coordinator, coming off a shocking win last week, has the ability to play the Cleveland spoiler and put the Browns right back down where everybody thinks they belong. I'm taking the Browns. By all rights, the Browns should win, but I'm holding my breath anticipating another Cleveland collapse.
Wouldn't that be something? Get to sit there and watch the Browns collapse to the New York Jets.
Oh my gosh. That would be, as I would say, that would be about as humiliating as it gets. And this isn't a slam on the Browns fans. All right. I'll pull for the Browns, but this would be typical Cleveland Brown collapse to lose to Adam Gase and the Jets. It would fit with what has happened over the decades. I certainly hope that this is the hump that Cleveland needs to get over to take themselves seriously.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, the Jets shocked the world with an upset victory over the Rams last week in what many are calling the worst win in NFL history, losing their number one overall pick in the NFL draft and potentially losing out on Trevor Lawrence. I think it was a fluke.
Adam Gase can't even lose correctly.
I know, right? Fire Gase. Now he's winning. Fire him.
That'd be the first coach to get fired for winning a game. That would be hysterical.
It'd be awesome. But yeah, I think that was a complete fluke. And with as hot as the Browns are right now, and with them in contention of taking the divisional lead, they're 9.5-point favorites. I'm taking the Browns all day here.
Yeah, I am too. I have a lot of belief in the Browns. You know, they're already at the mark of wins that I had them at in the preseason. And like Brad said, you know, the control your own destiny thing, you know, they control their destiny right now, and they're playing really well on offense. Baker has 297 or more yards in, I think it's 3 or 5 games straight. So he's balling out right now. And obviously you have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt that can go off at any point. So there's no way the Jets hang in this one. You know, like Zach said, I think what happened in the Jets game, as I thought more about it, is that whoever that new defensive coordinator is, he started implementing his scheme when they were playing the Seahawks, and then they got schooled because the defense didn't know enough, so they had to keep calling the same plays. And this next week, they were able to throw some new stuff out there. The Rams hadn't seen it on tape or anything, but Browns saw a little bit of that defense on tape, and I think they're going to take advantage of it.
Yeah, I think so too. And I really want the Browns. I really want the Browns to win this division. This isn't anti-Steelers thing. This is just they're 10-4. They've had a good season. A franchise like this needs something positive to happen. They don't need the collapse against that monkey on the back, that here we go again thing that will hamstring. We've talked about that with the Tuck rule. You know, just little things keep happening. I really hope they get it. And a win this week would certainly put them in position to win this division. So here's the hoping, right? We're all three taking the Browns, and they should get it done by all rights with what we've seen this year.
I hadn't thought of it until just now, but as we talk about all the weird stuff that's happened in 2020, the most 2020 thing, the Browns, the Bills, and the Dolphins are about to possibly all be in the playoffs, and the Patriots aren't.
Yeah, excellent point. Go right along with the NFC East squeaking in with 6 games. You had an excellent point about the defensive coordinator, and it'll be interesting to see if I originally when Gase made that call a few weeks ago, I was kind of pissed off about it because Gase is a scapegoater, man. He will blame everybody else around him, but in this case, it certainly looks like they needed a change, and you know, I don't think it's going to turn the Jets into a contender anytime soon. I don't think Gase has that capability. They'll be mediocre at best. And, you know, the defense may be what makes them mediocre. I don't know, but that's a good call on that for sure. All right. So next game up is the Colts at the Steelers. My mentality on this game, and we just went through this yesterday about, you know, the Colts should win this and this and that. But it's in Pittsburgh. I don't see the Steelers bouncing back and fixing their problems that quick. I think the Colts are going to take this one.
Yeah, huge game for Indianapolis. A win here and a Tennessee loss to Green Bay. The Colts will take over the AFC South with a Week 17 matchup against Jacksonville, vastly increasing their odds of being division champs. A win and Pittsburgh wins the AFC North. A loss and the Browns win, and we will be watching a Week 17 AFC North Division Championship game next week when the Steelers travel to Cleveland. The Steelers are favored by 2.5, surprisingly, in my opinion. But given the recent struggle of the Pittsburgh Steelers and how well the Colts have been playing the last few weeks, I have to go with the upset and take my hometown Indianapolis Colts in this one. Regardless, it should be a great game this weekend.
All right. I just want to correct you because you just said it's an upset, but the Colts are the favorites in this game currently.
Oh, did it flip?
Yeah, they're currently.
That doesn't surprise me. I was getting ready to say when you said that they were favored, I was getting ready to say we need to give that loss some time to simmer. That's probably going to flip before the for the game Sunday, and obviously it already
Yeah,
has.
the odds. I got the odds this morning, so yeah, it doesn't surprise me. I was really shocked to see that Indianapolis was not the favorites in this.
Yeah, well, I'm sure the bettors woke up this morning and everybody started flipping their script real quick.
But I think that, like you guys were saying, the Colts have just been playing better. The last 3 weeks, the Steelers have obviously lost all 3 games. The Colts have been winning. Phillip Rivers has 6 touchdowns to no interceptions. The Colts as a whole have 7 takeaways, no giveaways in the last 3 games. So the defense is balling out and the offense is taking care of the ball. And so I think the Colts will be able to move the ball. That Steelers defense, with the injuries they have, isn't as strong as it was. If Bud Dupree and all them boys were still in the lineup, I'd be worried about this one. But I think that the Colts are going to be able to dominate this game in the trenches, and so this is going to be a big win for the Colts. And we're going to be watching Week 17, like Zach was saying. I'm excited to see the Browns win this division, Week 17.
All right, so we are all 3 in agreement. We are all 3 taking the Colts over the Steelers this week, and watching the Colts control their own destiny, and watching the Browns move on up. So, all right. So next up is the Giants at the Ravens. This is kind of a no-brainer in Baltimore. I think Baltimore, they're also in control of their own destiny. They desperately need a win. They're at home. They're against the Giants. I don't see Baltimore losing this game.
Yeah, the Giants are still in the playoff hunt, hoping to capture the NFC East title. Unfortunately, they're facing a Baltimore team that appears to have finally shown up to the party. Baltimore is on the outside looking in the AFC playoffs, but one slip up by the Miami Dolphins, or the Indianapolis Colts for that matter, and the Ravens will be right there ready to pounce. Favored by 10 here. I think they win and cover the spread.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll be able to cover that spread. Giants should be getting James Bradbury back, and I think that'll help their defense. Not having him in the lineup for them this past weekend was a big deal for them, because obviously he's been one of the better shutdown corners in the league this year. But the Ravens, their offense has looked so much better ever since. I mean, they had Mark Ingram in this last game as a healthy scratch, and just let J.K. Dobbins do most of the work. Gus Edwards does the goal line work, and it works well for him. The only issue is, can the passing game be productive against a good passing defense? So that's really the only question I have here. Marquise Brown's been dropping the ball. Is Des Bryant going to be able to get involved? They have this other guy that they've been trying to get involved, Boykin, another one of those fast guys. They have a lot of speed, but they've been dropping the ball kind of like the Steelers. Nobody really talks about that with the Ravens because they're more of a running team. But overall, I do think the Ravens will be able to run the hell out of the ball in this game. Lamar Jackson, probably another big game on the ground, so I got to go with the Ravens.
We all 3 agree on this one as well. We're all 3 taking the Ravens at home. The next game up is the Broncos at the Chargers. Complete coin toss. As good as the Broncos defense can be, they're on the road in Los Angeles. And I like Herbert. And I don't know, coin toss, I'm taking the home team, taking the Chargers.
Now, Chargers fans, you're welcome. Because after calling for Anthony Lynn's firing a couple weeks ago, they heard my criticism and decided to finally step it up with back-to-back wins against Atlanta and Las Vegas. Not much left to play for, as they've already been eliminated from playoff contention, but this game is a battle to not be last in the AFC West. Favored by 3 at home, I'm taking LA.
Yeah, it's hard to go against the Chargers here, going against the Broncos. Justin Herbert is just too damn good. Even though I like the Broncos defense for the most part, I've got to go with the Chargers. And then this is kind of a revenge game, right? You have Chris Harris Jr. playing on the defense for the Chargers. And he was obviously with the Broncos for so long. And I believe he had to miss the first matchup earlier in the season. So, hopefully the Chargers come out and get the win against Denver for him.
And Zach, you said you're taking the Chargers, right?
Yeah, I'm taking LA.
Yeah, we're all three taking the Chargers. Next game up, Panthers at Washington. beat this back and forth. I'm going to go Washington's at home with a better defense. Carolina still got way too many issues to work out. I'm taking the Washington football team in this one.
Yeah, Washington's been on a tear lately and narrowly lost to the Seattle Seahawks last week. They're still atop the hotly contested NFC East, and a win here will go a long way in their division title hopes. Panthers have been struggling as of late, losing their last 3 and 8 of their last 9. I think this Washington defense will be just too much. Favored by 2.5, I'm taking the Washington football team.
Yeah, it's hard to go against Washington here. More so with the way Carolina's played. Like Zach just said, 8 of the 9 last games have dropped. So what confidence is there to go with them? Washington's been playing well. Again, like Zach said, only loss was to Seattle, and they only lost by 5 in that game. They played them tough, so this should be a easy bounce back game for Washington.
Yeah, and the difference is we're talking about these games, and we're talking about the Giants and the Ravens. You didn't hear us talk about the Giants are in the hunt in the playoff race, which I think Zach mentioned, but there wasn't any talk about controlling their own destiny and all that kind of stuff, because the Giants haven't organized to that capacity. I think Rivera has, as still being at 6 and 8, and still as much fun as I want to make fun of the NFC East. I think Rivera has pulled this together enough that he can use this to his advantage as a coach to tell them they control their own destiny and start to teach them to win under those type of circumstances. And this, I think that's exactly what they're going to do. They control their own destiny. They're at the top of the NFC East. If they win this game, they're going to stay atop and find their way in the playoffs, which is a huge building step for next year. I know we complain about like the Dolphins looking ahead to next year. I don't see the Washington football team winning a Super Bowl this year, but Rivera gets them into the playoffs. That's a win. Not only you get in the playoffs, but you win a wild card game. That's a double win, and you're really setting the stage to build a winning program. So I really expect Washington to play like something's at stake this week. Just my 2 cents.
It's crazy that we talk about Washington this way after week 15, as opposed to the way they were. I mean, they, for as bad as the NFC East has been since week 1, Washington was the worst of them all over the first month of the season. And here they are. Like you said, they've just steadily been getting better under Ron Rivera. Obviously, Alex Smith is a part of that too. And they're sitting here, and we all agree they'll take another step into winning the division this weekend.
Yeah. A far cry from, like you said, not only were they bad, but Rivera's health problems at the beginning of the season. No, and everyone expected the Eagles and the Cowboys to contend for the top of this division with winning records, I might add. There's been so much that's happened in this division with this team happened just over the course of the season. I told somebody the other day, I said, I think we've all packed about 3 decades into this 1 year. And the Washington football team is no exception with that. All right, next up is the Hot Garbage Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles at the Dallas Cowboys, the game that nobody except people in Philadelphia and Dallas wants to watch. Unfortunately, it'll probably be all over every TV set in America on the 425 game, thanks to Jerry Jones. I really don't know who to take here. And the Cowboys, I don't want to hear any shit about the Cowboys did this or they did that. I don't care, because they could turn around and fatally collapse and just look terrible. Is Zeke playing this week?
It's undecided yet.
But I don't want to pick the Eagles either. Especially going on the road and going down to Dallas. I'm going to pick the Cowboys because they're favored and they're at home. They'll probably win, but that's all I pretty much have to say about that.
Yeah, it's still another huge game in the NFC East. Both teams still have divisional title hopes. They're not out of it yet. Loss by either would essentially eliminate them from contention. Both teams have looked good the last couple of weeks, but with how bad the Cowboys defense is, though, and the newfound spark that Jalen Hurts brings to the Eagles offense, I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles here.
I'm also going to be riding with the Eagles here, and mostly because Jalen Hurts factor is a big deal for me. But it's really just the Eagles have a better defense. I don't have a whole lot of confidence in either of the offenses, even with what we've seen from Jalen Hurts so far in his 2 starts. So I'm going to ride with the better defense here. It's really what it comes down for me, and that's the Eagles.
All right. I'm taking the Cowboys reluctantly, but I would have taken the Eagles reluctantly. And you two are taking the Eagles. Next up, Sunday afternoon, the Los Angeles Rams head up to Seattle for the Seattle Seahawks. Big NFC West game. It's amazing how things change. 7 days ago, I would have had a completely different outlook on this entire game. I thought the Rams were really headed into something. I like what McVay is doing and has done. I think so far the Rams look like the organization that just has little shit go wrong at the wrong times. Man, franchises are plagued with that. On the flip side of that, there are organizations that have little things go right at the right times, and New England Patriots, and they win 6 Super Bowls. Not that luck caused them to win 6 Super Bowls. You know how I feel about Belichick. My point is that I'd like to think that McVay is going to fire this Rams team up, and he should. But I'm telling you, all confidence I had in the Rams winning anything just went completely out the window last week. They have to show me something different. And as much as I don't like the Seahawks, and I think the Seahawks are overrated this year, the Rams headed into Seattle after what happened last week. I can't pick them. I'm going to take the Seahawks.
Interesting. Yeah, like you said, essentially this is the NFC West championship game. Should be a great game to watch regardless how it goes. As we discussed earlier in the week, I think the Rams' loss to the Jets may have actually dialed their focus in, which spells bad news for the Seahawks that have slightly struggled the last few weeks. Seattle is a 2-point favorite here. I'm going to take the Rams in an upset victory on the road.
It really is a coin toss kind of game. Obviously, you never know how it's going to play out, but the Seahawks, I mentioned in our playoff picture episode that the Seahawks over the last, I believe it's 6 weeks since Dunlap got into the starting lineup, the Seahawks lead the league in sacks. And the best way, even the Jets showed, the best way to beat the Rams is getting pressure on Jared Goff and throwing him off, and he will turn the ball over. So I think the Seahawks are going to be able to get pressure on him. I think they're going to affect Jared Goff just enough. The Seahawks run defense isn't terrible. They still have Bobby Wagner heading that linebacker group. And so I don't think Cam Akers and all the running backs that they use are going to be able to bust out like they did a couple weeks ago when they played on Thursday Night Football. So I think Seattle grinds this one out like they did against Washington and picks up a huge division win to basically seal up the division title.
All right. Well, you two are taking the Rams.
Seattle grinds this one out like they did against Washington.
And I'm taking the Seahawks, but I'm rooting for the Rams. You can do with that what you will. All right. So the next game up is the Titans at the Packers. Potentially a very good game. Potentially another. I think the Titans are very even with the Colts. I'd like to think the Colts are better. We've had that discussion a lot. I don't know how much of that is hometown homer kind of stuff, but ultimately they're in Green Bay. I think the Packers are a better team. If that's the case, and the Colts beat the Packers, and the Colts be a better team than the Titans, hopefully this week it shakes out like that. We get to see it, but I'm taking Green Bay.
Yeah, it's another big game here. The Green Bay Packers are currently number 1 in the NFC bracket. A win and a Seattle loss would clinch the number 1 seed. Tennessee, on the other hand, is still in a battle with the Indianapolis Colts for the AFC South crown. A loss and a Colts win would slide Tennessee into the wild card bracket. Cleveland would hold a tiebreaker against Tennessee, while the Titans hold a tiebreaker over Baltimore. So that would leave them facing off with Miami, if Miami wins to contend with. A win for Tennessee, and all they have to do is beat Houston week 17 to clinch. But I am taking the Green Bay Packers here. They are favored by only 3.5 points. I think they'll put up a little bit more than that, so I'm going to take them on the spread.
Yeah, I think they'll be able to cover that spread too. Obviously Derrick Henry has the capability of of dominating any game, right? But I think this is going to be a game. This past weekend, we saw Aaron Jones rush for 145 yards. We saw Aaron Rodgers pass for 143. I think that kind of formula will work well here. Obviously, Devontae Adams is going to be able to create space and get open. He's just that damn good. So they'll be able to move the ball here and there. Alan Lazard being in the lineup helps me a lot. Helps my confidence with the Packers here. But I think they'll be able to run the ball more on that Tennessee defense. Obviously, Tennessee's defense isn't very good this season. So I think they'll be able to run the ball. I think they'll be able to control the clock and kind of play the Titans game against them. A little bit of that play action game. Aaron Rodgers, obviously in the MVP consideration for a reason, and I think they get a big win here and get to 12-3.
I agree. We're all three taking the Packers. Last game up.
Go.
Go Pack, go. All right, last game up. The Bills at the Patriots. After what we've seen with Buffalo the last couple of weeks, this should be 43-15. I think Buffalo just completely goes in. At this point, I don't even know that Bill cares. I don't know that he cares. Why would he care? He gets a better draft pick. I mean, it's over. They've math. Look, this guy is brilliant. You can say anything you want about Bill Belichick, but he's brilliant. Why would you give a shit if you win this game or not?
True. He's always looking forward to next year.
He's already even if he's not intentionally throwing the game. I don't even want to say that, but is he looking for players to keep to move to different schemes? Is he looking to? He's already building for next year. The focus. I don't believe the focus is necessarily on winning, but except he is a guy that likes to win. So I don't know that I can completely take that away from him. I don't expect it to happen. I expect this to be an ass kicking.
Yeah, the Bills are the hottest team in the league right now. Winners of 7 of their last 8, only losing a 2-point game to Arizona back in Week 10. The Bills have already clinched the AFC East and currently sitting in the number 2 spot in the AFC playoffs. Still a chance at the number 1 seed if Kansas City happens to drop their final 2 games, which I don't see happening. I don't see Buffalo letting their foot off the gas, at least this week. Favored by 7 heading into Foxborough. I think Josh Allen continues to make a case for the NFL MVP award and puts up another stellar performance against the Patriots. Bills cover.
Just like Zach said, I expect this to be a huge Josh Allen game again. He's playing extremely well, and I believe they're getting John Brown in the lineup, which is really going to help him because Stephon Gilmore is going to be all over Stephon Diggs in this matchup. So getting an extra guy in there that you can trust and rely on to get open for you and be open down the field for you is going to be helpful. But I think Josh Allen thrusts himself into the possible top position for MVP in this game. I have the final score 37-13 Bills.
That's interesting. I have the final score at 35-15. All right, we are all three taking the Bills. Look, I wanted to bring up that we're coming to a close on the pick'em race. And I don't know if you guys have checked it lately. We haven't talked about the last couple of weeks. We've been talking about the playoffs. And there was a week that I forgot to put my picks in. I've gotten 10 right that week. And I looked, thinking I was going to have to make that argument. And even adding those 10 still only puts me at third. It would put me 2 ahead of you, put me 1 behind Willie on the west side. But Zach's pretty much running away with this whole thing.
Yeah, they don't call me the Oracle for nothing. Oh, by the way.
You can't use my words against me.
Oh, by the way, not only did I say last week to take the Jets on the spread, I also said take the Bengals on the spread.
Yeah, good point. Wish I had put some money on that.
I know, but the second I actually throw down money on something like that, I'm just going to lose it all because I have the worst gambling luck in the world.
Yeah. Well, you come by that naturally, I promise you. All right, so I just want to throw that out there. Zach's at 154, and Willie on the west side is in second at 149. 6 games behind. Zach would really have to bomb this in the end. You got your work cut out for you. You too, Hefe. I mean, you're actually, 8 down?
Yeah, I've taken too many risky picks earlier this year. Got myself behind and can't catch up.
Well, and I've taken you and I both have taken some emotional picks. You like to choose the teams that you like. I like to bet against the teams that I don't like. I have a hard time, like the whole Cowboys conversation this week. I mean, and the Seahawks are lucky I took them this week over the Rams because I like the Rams. I don't like the Seahawks, but you got to learn to cut that emotion out of it. It'll hamstring you. All right, anything you guys want to add before we go?
Yeah, actually, there is something. Somebody please explain to me how DeForest Buckner is not a Pro Bowler.
Yeah, great point.
Did you guys see the comparison of his stats compared to the three that made it in over him?
Yeah, I was just getting ready to pull that up. The four people on the list are Buckner, Campbell, Hayward, and Jones. Buckner has 33 solo tackles. The next highest is Hayward with 24, and 22 and 17 with Jones and Campbell, respectively. He leads in sacks. He has 7.5. Jones has 6.5, and Campbell and Hayward have 4 and 3, respectively. Forced fumbles, he has 2. Jones also has 2. Quarterback hits, he has 24. Jones also has 24. And tackles for a loss, he has 8, and the next highest is 5. And these other 3 guys obviously made the Pro Bowl, so it doesn't make any sense. But I know we kind of chatted about this in text yesterday. I think it sucks that he was snubbed. I think that will come with winning. They make the playoffs, which they're probably going to make the playoffs, and they win. And they get to the AFC Championship, the perception changes about the whole team. Because looking at some of those other teams, and Effie, I think you made a comment about this yesterday. Some of those other teams got like 5 or 6 players on there and I'm just like, it isn't that lopsided. You want to talk about the Chiefs, maybe, and there's some other teams that are just completely stacked with talent that maybe, but some of these other teams, I'm just not going to buy it when guys like
even the Chiefs, because like you mentioned, there are 4 different teams in the league with 7 people in the Pro Bowl. That's 28 dudes in the NFL just coming from 4 teams.
But they're all the winning teams of late.
Yeah, a lot of the best teams in the NFL, and like you mentioned, the Chiefs, like Frank Clark for the Chiefs, like why is Frank Clark in it? Just because Frank Clark is a defensive end for the Chiefs? That makes no sense. Like Frank Clark hasn't done anything of impact all season long. Like there's no reason to look over other people just because teams are winning. Just like the teams like the Jets and all them, those really bad teams don't have a whole lot of players to note. But I think James Robinson, and I could have missed it. I don't know if James, but I'm pretty sure the Jaguars were one of the teams with nobody in the Pro Bowl. And if that's the case, James Robinson is, I think, like 4th in the league in rushing yards. Like, how is he not in the Pro Bowl? So it's like I don't know the entire voting system that they go through, but it's terrible.
But it's a popularity contest. I mean, the coaches and the players get to vote, but then the fans also get to vote, and they far outweigh what's going to happen. And fans are going to vote for the players they see on TV. It's just kind of the way it is. It sucks. It really sucks. But unfortunately, that's the way it is.
Yeah, but that's why I look more forward to, like, after the season when they do the all pro teams, first, second, third, and all that. That's what I like to look at. See who gets that kind of recognition, because that they actually take the time to go through and see who is the best of the best instead of popularity contests.
Yeah, agreed, for sure. And I just hope that the Colts. I think they're putting themselves on the map this year. Speaking of which, have you guys checked? Have you checked the quarterback statistics in comparison?
Negative.
I think Rivers is like 7th overall. He was ahead of Tannehill in many categories, which I only say that because I know the Tennessee fans, they were just dogging Rivers at the beginning of the season. Rivers and the organization, just about how trash it was. Rivers has done a really good job this year. There are a lot of haters thought he was going to come in through a lot of – hell, I was afraid he's going to come in through a lot of interceptions. We talked through that. We've talked through that all the way through this whole year, especially in the preseason, about him having an offensive line, how that should change, and it has. He's done everything that we thought he should, because it fit. I mean, not because we're magicians or anything, but when you understand the game and you look at it, we expected him to be able to come and do these things with his skill set, with the things he didn't have when he was with the Chargers. He's certainly done that. And for his age, he's having a hell of a year. And I have the Rivers haters shut up. I haven't heard much.
No, but once he throws an interception or two, they'll come back after their 6-week hiatus.
Wait
or
until
the Colts lose
it.
it. Yeah, Colts lose a playoff game or something. They'll be
Yeah, exactly. At this point, again, he's not the future of the franchise, but at this point, he's the captain of this ship, and I'm on board.
Yeah, he's doing his job, getting it done.
He certainly is. So, all right, anything else you guys want to add?
No.
All right, that does it for this week. We want to remind you to please be sure to show us some love, like, share, and subscribe. Help us get to 1,000 YouTube subscribers, and we're giving away an authentic NFL jersey from the NFL shop. Also, weekly picking battles out. Just get with us next year. We'll talk about it later. The fantasy fanatics, make sure that you are checking out the latest episode of the Fantasy Central released, which will release tonight, right?
Yeah, by the time this is out, it should already be out there waiting on you.
Yeah, so check it out. The Oracle.
That's me.
And the Guru.
That would be me.
Cover the top waiver wire picks, must starts, and players to avoid this coming week. You should listen to these guys. They're making good calls. I don't play fantasy football. I don't get in these conversations because we want to give you good information. These guys are calling it like it is. They're giving you good information. We got people on social media saying, "Hell, don't ask me. Tell me." I listen to you guys for direction. Zach told you last week how to make a lot of money on a couple games. So check those guys out, and they'll help you beat your family and your friends in your fantasy league so you can brag at Christmas. And, of course, we will see you back here again on Tuesday, where we will review the games from the weekend and run down the ever-changing playoff picture as it comes into focus. For the end of the season, there's only 2 weeks left, and we thank you for joining us. Enjoy the games. Deuces.